he runs a lot of analysis on the computer. So I'd like to call on Mr. Joachim Leong. Let's give him a hand.
So formal. Very formal. First time we said Good afternoon, happy Sabbath.
Good afternoon.
Maybe I'm not as colorful as
I used to wear white, but
I prefer the he's from somebody to nobody. I'm almost somebody. I never got there fully. Okay, I've entitled my little discussion today, or my presentation today, is my Josephian Cycle. If you remember the story of Joseph in the Bible, what was his cycle?
from 0 to hero.
0 to hero?
Yes.
It was 7-7, right? 7 years of plenty, 7 years of drought or leanness. But before that, he had a preparation period. Because you remember, because he was sold into slavery, and then after his time with Potiphar, he also was in prison and all that. That was 13 years. So basically, his preparatory period was 13 years, and then 7, and then 7. So my experience was also something like that. I had 7 years of preparation, then I had 15 years of plenty and 15 years of. Okay, so let me start quickly, because I don't have much time, and I'll try to end before. So when I graduated, I didn't graduate with the best of results, partially because I had a couple of exams during my course that fell on the Sabbath, so I didn't take those exams. So when you take the repeat exam, you only got a D. No matter how well you did, you just got a D. But God worked it out so that when I went for my job interviews, they never asked to see my results. So I don't know why I worked so hard for the university. They never asked for my results. So my first possible opening was to run the Adventist Book Center in Ang-Mo-Kio at that time. Because they had a pastor running it, they thought that's a waste of a pastor's talent asking to sell books, right? So why don't I ask a business graduate and sell books? Little did they know that I knew nothing about selling books like Anthony knew about selling cars. So that was the first possibility. But strangely enough, the Sabbath after that, my wife, my then girlfriend, now wife, was invited by our youth sponsor to her house for lunch. So on the way there, she didn't drive, so she asked her cousin to bring her home. So we rode in the car. And the cousin was a partner of a stockbroking firm. So she said, have you graduated? I said, yeah, I just finished my exams. She said, asked him, hey, do you have a job for this young man? They said, yeah, we're looking for a research analyst. Okay, go for an interview. So went for an interview, his junior partner was looking to start a research department. Didn't ask for the results either. Spoke a little bit, okay, you can start work. So basically I had 2 job possibilities, right? Either run ABC or go and work as an analyst in a broking firm. So I thought, prayed about it, which one should I take? So I thought, the ABC job will still be there even if I come back 6 months later, didn't like the analyst job, go back to the other one, it'll still be there. But this one may not be there, so I took this job with the broking firm. So started there. My mentor, my boss, was very smart, very intelligent, he graduated with honors. The problem was, he wasn't a good mentor. He didn't tell me what I was supposed to do, basically like let me run the thing by myself. And I didn't know how to run, how to be an analyst at the point. We only did one course in university on finance about the stock market and stuff. So not very well prepared. So I was basically stuck there. It's like Joseph during his preparatory period. I was stuck there for after about a year, 2 years maybe. I wanted to move because it was getting quite boring. I was doing routine stuff. But everywhere I applied, no luck. Went for interview, no luck. The doors did not open. And all the doors stayed shut for the entire time that I was there. I never got a job offer for the entire 6 years that I was there basically. So it was like Joseph was sold into slavery, right? Cannot get out. He had the job, he had something to do. He was well treated by Potiphar, but he couldn't get out. So I wasn't badly treated, stuff I did, and we grew the department, but I couldn't leave. For some reason I couldn't leave, as much as I tried. So You all know Paul Geo, right?
Yeah.
After 2 years, my boss wanted to grow the department. So I asked Paul, you want a job here? He said, okay, he came on board. He couldn't hack it either. After 1 year plus, he left as well. So, but we grew the department from one person, we grew 3 analysts and 1 assistant. So we grew the department and we put out a product and so forth. And the unsaid pathway within the company was you stayed at least 5 years. They will, and if you're senior enough, they will promote you, or rather, they offer you a partnership within the company. Those days, all the stockbroking firms were run by partners. They were not basically corporates; they were partnership owned. So, after 5 years, just crossing 5 years, going to start running 6, I was possibly due for that offer of a partnership. But then something happened. The whole industry went into crisis. I don't think any of you are, maybe Kenneth, I'm not sure what they did. There's this thing called the Pan Electric Crisis,
Okay.
1985. Okay, so some of you may have heard that Pan Electric Crisis.
Yes.
There's this company called Pan Electric. That was, it was basically sort of a marine operating kind of company, but it dealt with many things on the side. So Pan Electric crashed, and we did a lot of debts owing to stockbroking firms. We had this thing called forward contracts. So one booking firm owned another booking firm, which owned another booking firm, which went down. So when it collapsed, it triggered the domino effect. It went down. Okay. You recently heard, I think, in 2013, the penny stock crash in Singapore, right? This guy John So, he caused $8 billion in losses in the penny stock crash. So he was jailed 30-some years. In the Pan Electric crash, the losses were between $10 to $12 billion, and the market was much smaller at the time. So a lot of the broking firms were affected. Some very close to the verge of that. It was so bad they suspended the broking business for 3 days. Okay, 3 days. And during the time, if you remember, SIA was supposed to be listed. SIA's listing was suspended as well because of this, what happened. And when they relisted SIA, opening price $5 went under $5. I mean, for stock like SIA, for that to happen is usually very unusual. So that's what happened. And then, so at that time, in order to bail the industry out, MAS pulled the 4 big banks together: LDBS, OCBC, OUB, UOB, pulled them together and said, we need to help the broking industry. So they came out with a lifeboat fund. They put together $180 million, basically, to help stabilize the industry. In return, all the broking firms got stockbroking licenses. Before that, no licenses were held by corporates. And then they also allowed corporates to buy into broking firms to increase the capital. So when that happened, because we were one of the firms which had a research product, so we had a gain out there. So I was approached by 2 of the bank broking firms to apply for jobs to start the research department. And then one of them offered me a job. At the same time, when I went to see my boss about it, he was going to offer me a partnership in the company. So which to take? I have a choice of a partnership paying higher than what the bank broking firm was going to pay, you know, and being a partner in a broking firm was quite a prestigious thing. But for some reason, God kept pushing me onto the bank broking firm side. So I left. I joined the bank broking firm. And you know what? God works in mysterious ways. What would say saying better, like in your case, you chose PwC instead of something else. So I chose this firm that would have paid me 15% less than if I got partnership. 15% less and worked a lot harder. Because we were quite comfortable then already, we dictated our own timing. But with the broking firm, I sort of shot myself in the foot. Because when I went for the interview with the chairman and managing director of this bank, he asked me, what can you do for this broking firm, if you came and you did it? So I said, well, because when I first started in the industry, only one local broking firm had research. And he produced research on a monthly basis. It was only the other foreign firms, the American firms and the British firms produced research regularly. So when we started our own broking firm, our research product, we launched it on a monthly. I mean, every fortnight we came out with a product. So we were one up on our competitor. So I opened my big mouth and said, well, I would have come up with a weekly, which was as good as the Americans and as the British broking firms. But I stupidly didn't ask people to give me the resources. So he gave me the job, and I had no ideas. Now I was on my own, and I had to hire. But at that time, with so many Bengal broking firms hiring, I couldn't hire anybody with experience. So I hired two persons with no experience to start this thing. So that was when I jumped out of slavery and into prison. Like Josephian Cycle. Yeah, so that was tough. You know why? Because when you run a weekly, that means, and if I want to keep the server, I have to have everything out on Friday night. And the trading weeks from Monday to Friday night. Okay? I have to have everything out on Friday night. And the market closes at 5 o'clock. So I have to have the latest data. I had 2 hours to get everything out. I can produce most of the stuff up to Thursday. But the Friday stuff I cannot get out until Friday after the market closes. So that year, that first year with them was a terrible year for me. Because I couldn't finish, because my guys couldn't finish. And being the most senior one, I cannot leave them on the own. So I normally left work 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock on a Friday night. And my wife, poor wife, she would come down in the car and she would wait somewhere in the car park waiting to pick me up until I finished. So that was very bad. So I prayed to God about it. I said, God, this cannot continue. I cannot keep the Sabbath this way. You know? And I do want to keep the Sabbath. I had no problem keeping the Sabbath in my previous firm because I could dictate when was the cutoff. Even if it was not the 15th of the month, I could call the shots. You know? So that was tough. But God was good. And then he made an opening. A year after that, one of the sales teams wanted to hire or wanted a salesperson. So one of the guys told them that I could be interested. They had 2 sales teams. One was a house team and one was an independent. The independent was looking. So I went and spoke to the guy and he took me on the spot and he paid me more than the research department. He paid me the same as I would have got as a partner in my booking firm. So 1 year delay. And so I worked there for 3 months. And that entire team got poached by another company. So I went with them. So that basically started the years of 20. Now the company that I left ran into some trouble because of the financial crisis. And then they had to have another firm, another financial company buy a stake in them in order to keep them afloat. But within 10 years, that company, previous company closed down. So now I know why God didn't want me to stay there, even if I could have been a partner. I would have suffered losses, financial losses, if I had been a partner. So he stayed me away. So in this new company, it was the best time of my career actually because they had very good research people. And if you are a salesperson, you need to have a product, right? If you're a salesperson, you know. If you don't have a good product, how can you sell? What can you sell, right? So we had a very good research department, we had good products, and we had good people. So that was when I grew in the business. And then, you know, I had who's on my client list in Singapore. I had clients from Australia all the way to Edinburgh in Scotland. So I was traveling every 3 months or so. So it was good, a very good time. So that was in the years of 20 started. But so during my first stint, the first 7 years, we rode through the recession of 1982. Do you think the interest rates hit now are high? Interest rates, the Fed funds rate is now 5.25. Do you think that's high? During that time in 1982, when Paul was with me, the Fed funds rate was 20%.
Oh, wow.
20%. Okay? The Singapore interest rate was bank lending rate was 15%. Okay. So, but even then, the company rode through. God kept us afloat. We rode through, and because the Singapore market at the time was quite speculative, so it didn't depend on these fundamentals. It depended on all the rumors and stuff. So that kept the company afloat. So when I joined this new company in 1987, 6 months after I joined, it was October 1987, the October crash. And Wall Street. crash. But it didn't last long. 3 months later, things recovered. We were back up and running again. And then 1991, the Kuwait War. Okay? Also short but sharp, painful for some, but we came off unscared. Our bonuses were all not affected, very smooth running. 1993, no financial crisis, but big financial crisis, big crisis within the company. Another company bought over our parent in the UK, and that caused a disruption in the management. My entire research department left. No research left. My immediate boss left also because of this agreement. So it was me and one other senior dealer left in the company. So we tried to keep it running as we tried. And basically my mind was, this is going to be the end. You don't have good research, as salespeople, we have nothing to sell. And true enough, the quality of the research fell. But strangely, our commissions didn't fall. God supported the business, the commissions didn't fall. And then shortly after 1993, 96, there were winds afloat that there was going to be another crisis. True enough, 97, 98, the Asian financial crisis. Okay? Broking firms shook. Foreign firms didn't want to deal with any of the Southeast Asian broking firms because they didn't know whether they were going to be able to honor their obligations. Okay? So we had a big problem there. And those were difficult times. But in comparison, this lasted until 97, 98, 99, partial recovery. Year 2000, anybody remember what happened? The dot-com crash. Okay, 2000 crash. So during the time that I was with this supposed period of plenty, I've had I've had the 87 crash, 91, and then I had the big fallout in company 93, then I had all that. But during this time, commissions-wise, I earned the most. Despite all these things that God basically kept us afloat. And the interesting part was that if I divided up the years of plenty into two, the first 7 years and the later 8 years, the first 7 years I had great support. The later 8 years I didn't have. But I earned more in the later 8 years than I did in the first 7 years. Strange. Only God could have done that. When you don't have the great product, you don't have this, but He still kept the business going. Then 2001, after 2001, the business started to fall because after the dot-com crash, the Singapore government came out to say that we must make broking more competitive. So our commissions came down. So it was from 1%, or if you dealt with institutions, it was 0.75%. It came down to negotiable. And what happens when it's negotiable? The less competitive firms, in order to win business, will cut their commissions. And then you have no choice, you have to follow them down. So it was a race down to the bottom. So we very quickly settled down to 0.25 commission, which means you have to do 3 times the amount of business you did before in order to stay in the same place. Unfortunately, the business wasn't there, the climate wasn't there, so everything fell. But again, God is good. During 2000, He gave us an opportunity, which my wife and I took. So then after that, even after during the next 15 years of bad times, we were cash flow positive as a family. We never had to dig in back into our reserves. So God really provided for us. What's the time now? Okay, the next slide. I'll give you some time for Q&A, okay? So if you ask me, right? So that brought us maybe to 2017, 2018. Come 2019, I decided that the new normal, the business was really so bad that the new normal was going to be that way. So I decided to call it quit 1 year before COVID hit. When COVID hit, was really, really bad. So I quit. So if you ask me, is it easy to witness in the marketplace? Not really, because nobody really asks you, what you believe. Because in broking, what we're interested in making the next dollar of commissions. Nobody asks you what you believe and stuff. But you can make an impact by how you live what you believe. Okay. I would say if you want to make a mark in the marketplace, you is first put God first. Make your beliefs right, put God first. Then work hard. Okay? Don't slack, don't cut corners, work hard. Then deal honestly with everyone. Okay? In broking, like in other businesses, there's always opportunity to make a fast buck, like like you said before. I had a fund manager once come up to me and said, I will give you all my business provided you give me a cut of the commissions that you earn from me. Okay. And he said, I will trust you, whatever you give me, you can take off your taxes and stuff like that, and then you just give me a share of it. It would have been easy, nobody would have known, but God would have known. So I told him, no, I can't do this. This is not the way we operate. Okay. So deal honestly with everyone, and if you don't, eventually you will catch up with me anyway. Okay? And then basically live up to the standards of the belief. If we believe in what we believe, then we have to show what we stand. Because in our case, we believe in Sabbath, right? So I never participated in any activity that fell on Sabbath. So in my 40 years of working, companies always have dinner and dances, right? I only attended 2 dinner and dances in 40 years because they were not on Sabbath. They were not on a Friday night. And one of those dinners and dances, they were giving out Omega watches for those that served more than 10 years. Okay? I served 12 years at that time. So they gave out Omega watches. I didn't get mine because I wasn't there. So and then, of course, when I went back to the office, nobody talked about it and they didn't give me mine. So I'm owing an Omega watch from a company that is no longer there. Okay, so basically, but I did get some chances to witness because there were some people who wanted to study the Bible. So we had a small group for a little while and studied the Bible together. They are basically tongue-speaking charismatics and stuff. Never really, I think, converted them in that sense, but we had a discussion going and hopefully enlighten them a little bit on what the Bible spoke about. Yeah. So I think witnessing in the marketplace is not so easy in today's world, especially when there's so many competitive pressures and so forth, but it can still be done if you live up to what you believe. And sometimes people will come to ask you, why do you don't do this, or why do you do that, why do you do that, why didn't you attend the company's dinner and dance? So there's a chance to explain all these things. Okay? Thank you.